This is where I'm at now. This is 36 inches. I love the way it came out. But even though it's as wide as my bed, you can see it doesn't give very much length. So now I have a major decision to make. Do I leave it as it is, or do extend it a foot on each side? Now, if I do that, I would be making the end look like, okay, boop, boop, back up a little. I'd pretty much be adding that to the end, and it wouldn't look the same. Or I could add another corner like this and fill in the edges with the dark purple. Anyway, that's the decision I have to make. What do you think of that? Didn't that turn out bright and pretty? I'm loving it. Okay, let's get on with the instructions, and we're going to make this puppy. Well, got a lot of tails to finish, but this is what we're working on. Just a granny square, and then you come out and make your granny square around it, starting from here on each side, and they join together. You start in the middle of that side and you make your next granny till you get there. So, like I said, I don't know where I want to go with this, but right now we're concerned with starting it. To make this, I wanted to make sure I had plenty because I didn't know how big I was going to make it. I could make this big enough to fit in the middle of my mom's king-size bed. That's how much yarn I bought. I have not yet used one full skein of each of the 5 colors of yarn. So if you got one, and that's not the, that's the 7-ounce Super Savers. Actually, it's 5 ounces for the variegated, and 7 for the other 3. Still have some left. There's my box. I don't have a whole lot of purple left because that's the major color. I got that much purple left of the 7 ounces. And because blue was the next one that didn't use up as much, I've got probably less than half a roll of the blue. So you still, if you're getting the 3.5 ounce skeins, you'd still want to get more than one. For the blue variegated, that's it. It used most of the 5 ounce skein. Okay. And a whole bunch of the pink variegated left. Way over half. Okay. So that's the colors. I used a size I hook. And I guess that's about it. Let's go start, shall we? You're going to love this when it's done. There's so many different ways you could do this. You could do a whole bunch of different colors in here. Say going from dark to light or light to dark. And just do 1 row of each. Do make sure that you end up with even rows. Like this is, I'm only using 5 colors, but there's 2 of each row. That gives me even. If you use 1 row of each color, make sure that you use an even number of colors, okay? Or either that or put 2 rows of your last color around to give a distinction to your square. Anyway, here we go. Everyone has their own way they like to start their granny squares. Some people start it with a slip stitch and chain 3 or 4, whatever floats your boat. 1, 2, 3, and then you come back into the very first stitch and you slip stitch. This gives you this little hole to work with. You chain 2, and you come down in here into the hole in the middle of the 3, and you do doubles, 3 sets of doubles, 4 sets of a set of 3 doubles. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, yarn over. This is your double. You yarn over, you go down into the hole, you pull up a stitch, yarn over, pull it through 2 stitches, yarn over, pull it through 2 stitches. So that's 2 and 2, that makes the double. Yarn over, and 2 and 2. Yarn over, and 2 and 2. Chain 3, and do it again. We need a total of 4 sets of 3. And 1, 2, 3. And when you slip stitch back in, if you go through here every time, you're going to have not as neat a connection every time. It's going to be more visible. So this is how I do connections. I take the stitch I would normally go into like this, and I go into the back of the loop, and I come into the top of the chain below it. So I'm still going through 2 stitches, but it's thinner and neater, and you don't end up with any kind of a clog or a thicker area there. Okay? That's one way to start a granny square. Another way is to use a magic circle. A magic circle, you have your free yarn behind your hand. You bring it forward over your top finger, and you wrap it around 2 of your fingers. You take the feed thread, come down, hold on to it too. You come under your single thread here. See how I did that? Come up and grab this, like that. And then you're going to go back up here to your feed thread and pull it through that little loop you just made. Okay? And then you're going to chain 2, and you're going to come down in and start your little sets of 3 double crochets, just like that. Yarn over, pull it through, pull through 2 and 2, 2 and 2, 2 and 2, and chain 1, 2, and 3, and stop. Now, you take your tail here and you just pull so it's nice and tight. And again, you want to go through this front stitch here, plus see the chain here? See the chain under it? We're going to go through this stitch and through the top of that chain right there. And there we have it. And pull this as tight as you want. Now, because it's just a single one, I know it's probably supposed to be just as tight as can be. I like to do double magic circles, which just means you go around your 2 fingers twice instead of once. And then I don't have to do this. I just cut it. But if I just do it a single time, I come right in here, and I go back into the middle again for one more trip around. Just like that, at least a half trip around. Oops, get out of there. Sneak right back down in there. Come back around. Now I feel better. I wouldn't worry about this for individual squares that I make, but this is going to be the center of a big blanket, and it might get a lot of tugs. Now you don't have to worry about your center. It is taken care of. And you can go on and start to build on your square. You want to do on this one. I'm doing 2 layers of each color. So I've done the front. The front is facing me. I'm going to turn it around. Bring my yarn back in front of my hook. Okay. And I'm going to go down in the hole, pull up a slip stitch, and 1, 2. And do your first set of 3. So that's chain counts as 1, that's 2, that's 3. Chain 3. And come back and do the second set in there. Every corner is going to be just the same from here on out. No matter how big you make this puppy, your corners will always have the 2 sets and a chain of 3 in each corner. Now, no single crochet in between. You wrap and you go right to the next stitch. Whether it's a corner stitch or a side stitch, no chaining between clusters. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Like so. Now here, I only came up with a chain 2 off of this edge. I should have come up with a chain 3. I really don't have a good chain 2 I can go into. So this time only, and I'm going to remember that, chain 3 when I come up. I'll go through both of these and do my slip stitch. Okay. Go ahead and clip this off. Bring it through. Tight little goodie. Now this is my back. This is my second one. This is my back. I don't want to get lost on which one's my front and which one's my back. So I'm going to keep a little tail in here. Now, here's my next color. I'm going to make a slip stitch. To add my next color, I'll make a slip stitch. Yarn over, down into my center hole here. Did I skip somebody? Now let me go down another hole. Okay. Pull through 2, and through 2, and we're off and running with our new color. No stitch between clusters. Come right into your corner, your next hole, and you do your next set of 3. And in this case, it's the corner. then chain 3, go back and do your corner. All you have to do now is don't forget to turn your work to do the second side. Very important. You want to turn the work to do your second side. Okay? Going pretty good here. That shows the pink better, doesn't it? Nice and bright. It's a nice dark bright pink. When you have too much light on it, it looks too pale. Okay. As you can see, I've got my squared granny fairly well started. I did 2 rows of the variegated and then 2 rows of the pink. I'm going to add on my next color, which is my variegated blue. Start off with a slip stitch. Wrap my yarn. Go into a hole. Do a double. Oops. I like doing this way. It's just a matter of keeping my tension so I don't end up with a big gap in my first one. There we go. I'm using an eye hook for this. And I'm using the Red Heart Super Savers. And the variegateds, you don't get as much yarn as you do on the solids. So I always need to buy extra variegated for this. This time I bought 2 skeins of everything. Let's see if I can sneak it out to an extra section this time. Just regular granny square work. I'm using 3 chains on each corner. Try to keep it kind of loose. Very hard for me to do. I'm a very tight crocheter. But I'm trying to remember. Keep it loose. Okay. For all of those of you who have done granny squares, when you're doing 2 rows like this, you want to make sure that your second row will always be in the same spot every time. You want your second row of this color on the same side. You want the second row of this color on the same side. So it's important that you know which side you're starting on. And so I keep my tails. I keep my tails on the back so that when I see these tails, I know that I'm on the right side for coming back on my second row. First row, I should not see any tails. It has a really nice effect when you go like that because you end up with this kind of bar going around. It's real pretty. It also makes it better. It makes it two-sided looking. See, you've already seen the way this is going to look at the end. I haven't. Because this is me making it for the first time. So, just continue this way. If you're not going to use 2 rows, if you're going to use single rows of colors, like a little strip band, different colors like rainbows, make sure you always end up with even number of rows. It seems to help. I tried doing it with like 5 colors with just 1 row each, and it does not work if it's not even. Just, I don't know why, it just doesn't. So make sure if you decide to do single or triple or whatever, you end up with an even number of rows from the inside out, okay? So I want to see you back. Uh, keep going like this with your colors until you get out to your fifth color or sixth color or whatever amount you're doing. Um, since I'm doing doubles, it doesn't matter. I could do anything. I could stop at the blue and start on the next color. So keep on going like that, and I'll be back with you when we get to the outside and we're ready to put our triangles on, okay? Now I moved ahead past the first level into the second level. I really needed to find out if what I thought I was going to be able to do would work, and it has admirably. I also needed to point out something because I may forget it when I come to the next one, or the next one may end up being my last one. I don't know. But when I get to the next level out, I will need to start over. See how this is the second level here? When you start on the first level, you've got a set of 3. Then you have a hole, and the hole is what you start your next level with. The first level of each color is odd. Like the third level here, that's 1, 2, 3. The next level is 4. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. You start the next color in the middle, and you have an odd number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you go up, you start the next color in the top of that one. These you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See? It's the same deal all the way up. When you get to here, you need to have the hole over your threesome to locate where you're going to start your center. You can't do that if you have an odd number of these stitches. They have to be even. That way you have the same amount on this side as you do this side, and you have a starting point. Now, that brings us to this outside edge here. And this is what I wanted to check out first. The first layer of my last color has to be an odd number. So these two had to meet right here, or I would have room to put a second bunch, a separate bunch. Because you have an even amount here, you would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on this side. And you would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on this side. And you need 9. So where these two meet is where you can put your odd bunch. And that'll give you your first layer of your next color. Then the next one after that will be even, and you'll have a center point from which to start your next triangle. Okay? That's a very important point. You have to have an odd number for your first level of color. And when you add these two together, since they're both even-sided, they're both the same size, you have an even number total. So you have to have room on the end between the two of them to put your odd bunch. Okay? Now I'm going to, I have to go ahead and finish putting my light blue on here. And then I'm going to put my 2 layers of purple on. And then I'll be able to show you how I did this. Because after that, the colors won't be the same as far as coming out and having the purple start right here at the tip of my purple. I'll have more lines, so probably enough for 2. At any rate, it'll definitely go on beyond the purple into the other colors again. This is the only one where it comes out just exactly right. Now the way I did this is I skipped one stitch in between. One stitch. I did my whole bunch here. I skipped one stitch and did a bunch here. Skipped one stitch and did a bunch here, and so on and so forth. My connections were skip one, connect, skip one, connect, all the way down. And that gave me an even number on both sides. Then you have your chain 3 on your ends. So, and I did the slip stitch on the top. So with the chain 3 on the ends, you have, these are all even from here out. Plus you add 1, 2, that's even. And then you have your third one. Now your third one extra on each corner, is going to help you because you need an odd number. Because you have 1 in the middle that you're starting from. And if these were absolutely even, you'd be out of step on both ends. So that works out good for us. That's why you want 3 chain instead of 2 chain on each corner. Okay? I wasn't sure about this color combination, but I think it's going to come out nice. I kind of like it. It's just that I'm so used to the other one I did. It had kind of a more muted look. Kind of like this. See? Ta-da! Lighter, darker, 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 darker. My youngest daughter has claimed this one. She wants it. So I decided to make me another one. And I decided to go colorful. And you see what I mean here by the next triangle, the next set I do? They're going to come down and I'm going to be coming out with my next color, which in this case, the current one will be the variegated pink here with the lighter pink here. So it won't match up there exactly, but again, I'm going to need to put, I had all kinds of trouble with this one because of that. Trouble. You need to have, where these connect, make one place in the middle for your odd one, and that'll work out. This one, if I wanted to add another one to it, I would have trouble because I would have to start right here in the middle of my stitch instead of in between like that. So that's quite a difference, isn't it? Quite a different look. At this point, I've completed my second layer. Here's my middle. I've done my second layer. I wanted to make sure this was going to turn out right. It does seem to have a slight indent, but I think that'll work out as I put the next layer on the outside. I like it better this way. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you what I did here. I'm going to do it right up here and start the next layer. And the way you treat this layer here, the way I'm treating this now, is the same way you treat every outside layer of every square. Okay? So to start with, you need to go in to the top of your stitches. Now, when you do the second layers of any color, you are facing the back of your project. I keep some of my tags on the back of my project so I know when I'm working on the back or the front. If I put my tails in all the time, I wouldn't have a clue without stopping and looking, and I'd make mistakes and I'd end up having to rip it. I don't want to do that this time. So once you do that, you turn it back around so you're facing the front, no tail showing. And you're going to go into the back loop of your top stitch and do your slip stitches all the way around. And Even though we usually meter on the miter, whatever, add extra stitches on the corners, we don't do that this time. We go right ahead into the back of that chain stitch, just like that. Back of your chain stitches. Go right around the corners. Now remember, these corners here are going to be here when you do your next level. Okay? So you don't need to miter because it's definitely going to be pulled on. It's going to be pulled out to normal. So even if it looks a little bit like it might be thinking of curling or bunching on you, it's not that much. And as soon as you put the next layer on, that part will disappear. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the rest of my slip stitch on, and I'll come back and show you how we start this. Okay, I wanted to touch base so when you come back to your slip stitch, so you don't end up with one more or one less than you need. Here is my first slip stitch right here. This slip stitch goes with this line. This slip stitch right here goes with this line. This one goes with this line. This slip stitch here goes with this line. The one I'm on now goes with this line. So this line here is the only one that doesn't have one, and it will have it from this bridge. This bridge will give it to you. So I'm going to come over in here and do your little slip. Now, this stitch belongs to here. This one belongs to here. This one belongs to here. This one belongs here and here and here. Make sure that all your slip stitches on the top belong to a column underneath. You don't want to end up with too many or too little slip stitches. And look very carefully at it. If you have to loosen a little bit before you tie it off, make sure that you know that this tiny little dot in here is not a stitch. This is your stitch. This is your stitch. This is not. This little bridge in here. So let's cut it off. Bring it in good and tight. And again, look at it, look at it, look at it. This little bridge is not a stitch. This is a stitch. See here? This is a stitch. 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 This little bridge in here is not. Okay? Now, for our sides. Now this time I don't start a side with a double, because this is what we're going to do. See up here you have your front edge and you have your slip stitch. When we're working on the front of it, we're going to come into this front part of the slip stitch. That leaves your little ridge here. When we're working in back, we're going to work in that side, that same stitch from the back, which will leave this little ridge here. Okay? Now, the way I did it before with a slip stitch, I just slip stitched into the side and did it through both layers, and boy, I really wish I hadn't, because I didn't have as much to work with. This will leave you a ledge on both sides, and you won't have an ugly attachment in back. Okay, so this is the center right here. We want to skip this stitch, and we want to go into this stitch. Or if you're right-handed, you slip this stitch and go into this stitch. I'm going to go one stitch over from the middle. So we're going to go right through this front part of your slip stitch. I'm going to chain one. This will give us a little hole here to put a next bunch of crochet on. Skip this stitch, come back down to our center. Verify that you are on the center. And do your double. And you want to do your full set of 3, chain 3, and another full set of 3, all in this one stitch. Just like a dot. Okay. Now, this is the stitch you were in right here. See it? This is the one next to it. This is the next one. We're going to do, see now, I need to come up. We're going to chain 1 because we're connecting and coming up to the next layer. And that chain 1 becomes our space for our next bump. Now we're going to chain 3, 1, well chain 2 I should say. You skip, here's the stitch, here's the next stitch. You want to come up to the next stitch. Go in through the front of that slip stitch and make a single crochet. This gives you the hole you're going to need for your next bunch or your next color. Now we turn it around. Okay. Now this equals our first double crochet of the bunch. So we're going to come down in here and do our next 2. So we have 3 in our bunch plus our hole for the bunch of the next color. No chain in between. Come right up here and we're going to do 2 sets of 3 with the chain 3 in the middle. So 3 doubles, chain 2, 3, and another 3 doubles. Like that. Now we come down this little hole that we left with the chain 1 space. Whoops, wrap first, Chris. There we go. I'm going to bring my tail over here. Psst. 1, 2, 3. Now this last part is up to you. You can skip one and just, you can chain 1 here and slip stitch into this. Or if you want to have your tail up where it's easier to weave through the colors, you skip 1 stitch. Make sure I'm sticking the right one here. 1, 2, and do a single crochet. And that gives you your hole for your next color. Actually, the only time you really need to slip stitch is over here on this side. We chained 1 and slip stitched into here so you can come up. And that's the only time you'll actually have to slip stitch into the edge. And that's finishing the first half of each color. You chain 1, slip stitch, and then come up with your 3. And then you do your single crochet, turn it around, and march back across the color. Okay? Now, come back to the front. See all my little tags and stuff? Come back to the front to start the next color. You may leave. Thank you very much. Okay, and again, we're going to slip stitch. So here's the one that we were on the last color of. Skip 1, come to the next color. I'm going to slip stitch right into that. We're going to chain 1, which will give us the space when we come back to do our bunch on our second layer. Yarn over, and we do 3 doubles right in this single crochet hole that we left. And we work our way back up just like we did before. And there we go. One, two, three. This is how you do all your points. The most important thing you have to do from now on is make sure you only skip 1. When I did this the first time, I skipped 2 every one, and I thought that's what I would be doing this time. I believe in the first part of this where I was doing the, I think the first row of variegated blue, I mentioned that I would be skipping 2, using every third one, and 2 actually works out better for me. Okay, there's the stitch I was in, right here. I'll skip that one, and I go to the next one, and I'm going to chain 1, because this is the first half, the first layer of the color, and I'm going to slip stitch into that stitch, the front of my slip stitch, and that leaves me a chain 1 space for my group. Then I'm going to chain 1, 2, skip a stitch, come down into the front of the next stitch, and do a single crochet, and that gives me the space for my next color. Okay, and then again you just come back and you do your other two in this set of 3, because your first chain 3 or chain 2 was the beginning of this, and going up again, and that's how you start every single color. When you come around to here, you do your last set. You can either chain 1 and slip stitch here, or you can do a single crochet here and tie it off. Okay, so that's how you do your corners. You can tell I'm on the back side. I got my tails all over the place. Okay, so I'll see you when we get out to this layer. Here you can see I've reached the, excuse me, that's my cat walking through. I've reached the 3rd level. So we have the original one, and the second one we added on. It looks like I just kind of placed on there, doesn't it? And then we have this one, and we still have room for 4 rows on the end before it comes up level, which means you could do these 2 rows again, and then do these 2 and this around the outside of it. At this point, with the eye hook and the worsted weight yarn, it's running 28 inches corner to corner. So, and it makes, you know, a nice little area rug for a hall or a bedroom, center of a small den or something like that. It's very pretty. Now, there's several directions you can go from here. You can leave it just like this. You can add 4 more rows of the purple here, so that you really essentially have a purple rug with this design in the middle of it. You can go ahead and continue on with your colors out here. So you're doing your you know, your middle color and your next color, your next color, your next color, and that would make this about 36 inches square. And there's another alternative. Instead of going out once you get to this point, instead of continuing out this way, you could start here. And you could work your first color, second color, and so on out from here. And you'd have like an 8-pointed star almost. It wouldn't be even because you wouldn't have as many left over on this side as you'd have sticking out on this side. But you'd have another level to go out to. So there's several different things you can try. I'm going to go ahead and go with this. I'm going to bring it out. Now, even at this point, after putting that one bright color on there, I could go ahead and just put like just the pink and then a couple rows of purple. And that would make this, what, about 30 inches square? I could do that. Or I could stop right now and just put the purple on it and then put one more row of purple on the outside. There's all different ways to go with this. It's just a lovely, lovely pattern to try. Really nice. It's got such an unusual look to it. And it's an eye catcher. I think people will really like it. And I like the way I did it from the pink colors out to the purple. It makes these bling. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to work this edge. Maybe I'll work it in the pink and then, that's a lot of ripping. I want to do it first in the purple with just the purple around it and let you see what that looks. And I'll take the purple out, put the pink on, put the purple on, let you see that. And then I'll go ahead and do it the way I'm planning on, which is keep carrying it out until I'm back to my purple again. Okay, I'll be back. Now here it is with just putting just the purple on the outside. And I've got the two rows of purple here. And if you want to just leave it at this without an extra row on the outside, you want to slip stitch into both strands of that slip stitch row. You just slip stitch right into it. Just like that. It gives a nice final to it. On the other hand, if you want to put another row on the outside, then you finish this up. This is your back side. You do the same thing you do on all back sides. You come up, skip a stitch, come up, do a single, and then go back down and continue your row. On the other side, when you come to this corner, we'll make a single right next to it. And then on the throw on the outside, you'll use this hole in between these two singles for your center bunch. It'll go right over your stitch, just like that. Okay? Works out great. So that's that one. I'm going to take this out and put the pink on and let you see how that looks. Okay? Now here's what it looks like if you just stopped at the first two middle colors and then did your border. And if I was going to do this, I think I would do another 1 or 2 lines on here to make this border even thicker and more finalized. Fascinating pattern. Okay. That's what it would look like that way. Not a bad way to end it. This is, what did I say? 35 inches. So this is 35 inches square right here. Okay. Now you notice what I did here? Because it's the same color as this, I went ahead and I went through the last tip slip stitch on the corner. It gives it a continuity that you wouldn't otherwise get. Now, when I go ahead and go through the other sizes here, the other colors, these two here, I won't be doing that. It, hmm, I'm going to try it. I think I'll do it just to look at it, but I'll probably only go through one strand. I went through both strands of this to make sure the continuity was good and solid on both sides. See there? The back side of this is going to look pretty good too. See there? So this will definitely be a two-sided design. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do it my way. I'll be back. Okay, this is where I've ended it. I put my this color here. I didn't put it into this. I put it into the close bar between here and here. If it had been purple, I would have made sure it was attached to that purple. And I measured and remeasured this puppy. This came out to this was 30 inches. This came out to, with the purple on, about 32 inches. From here, from the center, all the way across the center to the very edge with this, comes out to 38 inches. And I measured the first time, I thought it was 36. But when I measured this, I thought it was around 36. I says, wait a minute, can't do that. So I spread it out, loosened it up, set it down, took my measuring thing and measured the shit out of it. Pardon my language, ladies. Measured it to death until I made sure I was right. So this is 38 inches square right now. Across. And if you stopped back here, it would be about 32 inches square. I would really like to see somebody making this and see what colors they come up with. I just wanted something bright and different for my room instead of the other one that my daughter's getting. So at this point, I'm going to tie in my tails, leave a couple bows in back so I know which side the tails are supposed to be on. And I'm going to think about it because, as I said in the introduction, I'm either going to have to, let's get this turned around here. I'm either going to have to go like this and add a one single set of color in the middle, and then either come out on the edges and make this, which would be kind of odd, or even odder, make this in here like this. Like that. Or make this on the edge and then fill in the rest with purple. But still, I'm going to have the straight sides that are 38 inches long, and I would just be extending it on the end. And I think it would lose a lot of its magic that way. So I am considering maybe even just putting purple on the ends. I may just do that. I may just, of course, then I have another question. Do I want to bring the purple out granny square style? Or do I just want to do it this way? Straight. I might just, I could do that, I guess. Just come out granny squares all along until I get it the length I want on both sides. I just love, starting a project and doing something that you're creating yourself is so much fun, but it can be a real mind tickler too. So If I was good at Photoshop, I'd just take a picture of this thing and I'd mess around with it photoshopping until I decide how I want it. That would be nice. I'm not really good at that stuff. I'm lucky I can get these videos out for you. Okay. Um, Let me know what you did. Let me know if you like it. Um, I get a lot of subscribers. I get almost no comments. And it surprises me how many subscribers I have because I think I've got a total of 4 comments on all the videos I've done. So if you guys could just let me know, I love it, I hate it, you're crazy, can't stand you, you're alright. I mean, say something. Please. Give me a shot here. I want to know what you like and what you don't like. I can't improve if I don't, well, keeping my hands in sight is the biggest complaint I have so far. I know the sound gets a little wonky, but I'm on a very major street, and when the traffic goes by, it does odd things with my audio. So I get some weird ripples and stuff in the background. So, happy crocheting, everybody. Be healthy, be happy, and I'll see you around. Bye.